Hello, you've chosen the gameplay explanation for Village Management in Thea the Awakening. I'm going to cover the basics and then go over some advanced concepts as well. To begin, let's look at the map. This is your village on the map. You can access the village overview by double-clicking on the village and then selecting the Manage button. It will bring up this screen. From this screen, you can control most of the functionality for your village. On the right, you have nearby resources. These are the materials close to your village that your villagers can gather for later use. This village has 3 resources nearby. The first is grain, then vegetables, and finally wood. Just below that, you have settlement buildings. You only have one village in Thea the Awakening, and it can have at most 10 buildings. Currently, I have 8. On the left are the 3 main tasks your villagers can complete. The first is gathering. Gathering allows you to accumulate resources for later use. You can assign villagers to gather by dragging and dropping them to any empty slot. You can also assign them by holding the Shift key and using the left mouse button. This will assign them to the first available slot. If you want more precise control, you have to drag them. Villagers have 2 icons next to their pictures. The first is a basket. This shows you their proficiency at gathering. The other is a hammer, which shows you their proficiency at crafting, which we'll cover next. As you add these villagers, you can see their production values down here. This is how fast and how much they can collect a particular resource. The more villagers you add, the faster they will collect. Back to village overview. The second task is crafting. Much like with gathering, you can add characters by dragging and dropping, or by holding the Shift key. I can also toggle whether or not to show already assigned villagers, so that way I have less to search through when I'm looking for new villagers to assign to a task. Just above the icon for each of these crafting tasks, there are several other buttons. You can choose how many of each item you would like your villagers to craft. For instance, I can have them craft 6 breads, or I can have them craft infinitely, and they'll just make bread until I run out of resources. I can add a new recipe by choosing one from the right and then adding the appropriate resource. You can do this by dragging and dropping, or by holding the Shift key and using the left mouse button. Once you do that, the item will appear here on the right. This value is how much it will weigh. Just below the name of the armor, you will see how much production it will take, how many units it will provide once crafted, and how much research you will gain by making it. Below that shows the resources you are using, and below that the properties. This armor will provide 13 health in a fight. Once I have added that to my list, I can choose how many to make, and then assign villagers to craft it. Remember, the higher the value for their hammers, the faster they will create the item. Back to village overview. Finally, there is construction. As you can see, I have several different buildings I can choose from. If I would like to add a barracks, I click on that arrow, and then I can choose materials. Materials are very important because they will have different effects. For instance, I could build this barracks out of regular wood, and it would provide a +1 damage bonus to all of my villagers. However, if I chose something different, say quartz and elvish wood, I would get a 3 damage bonus. If I change it all to elvish wood, I get a 2 damage bonus and a chance to attract elves to my village. And like anything else, you can drag your characters to it in order to make it. If you decide that you no longer want a recipe like this, just click the red X and it will cancel. Those are the 3 main tasks that your villagers can perform in the city. You can also get to it from this production tab up here at the top, and then use these tabs to go between each, so you don't have to continuously go back to Village Overview. Next, let's cover inventory. These are all the peoples and items that you have in your village, and as you can see, it can be a rather lengthy list. I can filter them by equipment, food, resources, and people. I can further filter them by toggling away that which is already equipped. These are all my unequipped items. If you have an item you no longer want, you can hold it and drag it over here to destroy it, or you can move it here to dismantle. Dismantling an item reclaims a certain percentage of the materials used to create it. Next is equipment. Each character has a certain number of slots. Warriors have 6 slots. All other characters have 8. A character is limited in how much they can carry by their encumbrance value down here. If I try to add something to a character that exceeds their encumbrance value, it will turn red and not allow me to equip it. If I would like to add something to a character, I can do it several different ways. I can drag the item to the appropriate slot, or I can drag it over the character's picture, or I can take it and drag it to their picture down here, and it will equip it there. That makes it very convenient for adding new materials to new characters. I can toggle between my characters using these arrows here at the top. If I find one that is unequipped, I can move items to that character in order to make them safer inside my village. Remember to always regard the equipment weight. Next is managing supplies. Your characters need food and fuel to survive, but you don't want to eat and burn everything that your villagers take in. As you can see, I have many different resources here. Some of them are useful for recipes. For instance, elvish wood, I would not want to burn. I want to save that for recipes. I can toggle whether or not my characters can burn or eat these items by clicking on them. A green check means they can burn it or eat it. A red circle with a slash through it means they cannot. Here on the right, you see bonuses. Food diversity is very important in Thea. The more food diversity your villagers have, the healthier they will be, and the more bonuses they will get. If I were to begin taking away these different foods, you can see the green check marks on the right begin to disappear. They get fewer and fewer bonuses. So collecting as much food and different kinds of food as you can will be helpful in keeping your villagers healthy and safe. Finally, we have new expeditions. Expeditions go out and explore the world and collect new resources for your village. You can add people to the expedition by dragging them, or by holding the Shift key and adding them that way. From this tab, you can examine what equipment your expedition has with it. And if you want to add anything, you can do that here. Finally, you will want to add food and fuel to your expedition. Never leave a village without food and fuel. You can adjust how much food and fuel they take using this slider or these arrows, or you can type in the value. Just like in a village, you want to have food diversity on your expedition. This will give them bonuses and keep them safe. In this middle slot, where all of your characters are pictured, you will see the expedition's weight allowance. This is how much they can carry. Currently, my expedition is carrying 3,088 units. It can carry up to 3,250 units. The leftover weight here is how much I can gather and carry. If an expedition becomes encumbered, it can no longer move, or its movement may be reduced. Thank you for watching this gameplay explanation. We hope you enjoy Thea the Awakening.